Hi, everybody. This is Tommy Lasorda. Listen to the Sandlot. The best thing that could happen to you.
The one constant through all the years, Ray, has been baseball.
Are you crying?
It's a part of our past, Ray.
There's no crying.
It reminds us of all that once was good.
There's no crying in baseball.
Just a bit outside.
Baseball will be very, very good to me.
It's a simple game. You throw the ball, you hit the ball, you catch the ball.
Personally, I think we got holes on that.
The Sandlot Radio Network is on the air. And now, starting pitcher for the Sandlot, former pro player and Major League scout, Ted Howard.
Welcome to the Sandlot. It's where everybody plays. It's a place of our own. It's our field. It's our neighborhood. It's our team. It's our home. The Sandlot is presented by the Sandlot Radio Network and sponsored by Econo Air, South Bay Credit Union, Wrecking Yard Baseball and Softball, and Max Graphics and Printing. The Sandlot returns for its 12th season and second on our new home, Fox Sports Radio 610 AM and 1067 FM. We look forward to bringing you the childhood Sandlot stories from the biggest names in baseball, including players, coaches, scouts, front office personnel, and even media, as they reflect on their road to the big leagues. Last week's show, we had a veteran of 13 Major League seasons, Clint Barmas, in our Who's Hot, Who's Not opening segment. We also had the 38th Australian to make it to the Major Leagues, Rockies left-handed pitcher from Adelaide, South Australia, Jack O'Loughlin. Plus, we had Angels and Mets farmhand and founder of Big League Locker, Kyle Johnson. This week's rundown on Who's Hot and Who's Not is with a 17-year Major League pitcher. He played in 10 of these organizations. We're going to talk about a second-generation big leaguer, the Grilli Cheesy, Jason Grilli. We also have a true grinder in the game, 8-year major leaguer, a very versatile Jeff Frye. Jay Grill, the Grilli Cheesy, thanks for being a special guest host on Who's Hot and Who's Not segment of the Sandlot.
You got it, man. Always good to join you. You always got some good stuff going on, man.
Well, want to stay in the game. We only can play it for so long, Jay. So we end up doing whatever we can to stay in the game, don't we?
That's it. Hey, we can talk about it. It's a lot less intense when you're not having to play it, right? And so we highlight the guys that elevate them. I think if I'm talking sports, you want to point out the good stuff because, damn, when it's hard, everybody hates on you.
And we got to use our tools. And in my case, I got a great face for radio. So this is where we are. We're going to talk about who's hot and who's not, the teams that are playing well and who's not in MLB. And we're going to start with the American League East and not far away from you, the Yankees, where you grew up. It's not far. You grew up in a part of the country where a lot of Yankees fans exist. And right now they're at 17-12 and they're a game and a half in front of the Red Sox who are 16-14. Now, these are two teams that you expect to be playing well because of the payroll and just the superstars that are in both of these organizations.
Well, like I said, I think the Yankees doing what they're doing. Obviously, Aaron Judge always off to a phenomenal start, big expectation there. He's putting himself as an early MVP candidate once again. I mean, he's a freak show that everybody likes to watch, whether you're a Yankee fan or not. Face of baseball. I think that maybe the pitching staff's doing a little bit better than expected. I know they lost Cole, and all these injuries are unexpected injuries and things that do happen in the season, but. And that division, all in total, man, it's probably the toughest one, I would say, arguably out there, just because everybody's good. The Orioles, even though they're in last place, they're facing some challenges, but way too talented of a group that they're not going to be there for long. That's a heavyweight division if you're talking boxing, but it's baseball, and those teams throw punches.
Forever. For as long as we can.
Forever. Yeah, some of the greatest rivalries, obviously Yankees, Red Sox, one of the probably greatest rivalries in all sports. I said that division, I don't know, I just had this weird feeling, and believe you me, I'm not going to try to sound like this expert analyst because I don't watch it as much because I got two boys and I'm at more Little League games than catching MLB games right now, trying to get my junior, he wants to keep the uniform on and play at college. So I'm analyzing that a lot more than I'm analyzing the breakdown of what's going on in the big leagues, but trying to keep a pulse. And you keeping me sharp here.
Well, it's important for us to at least know what's going on, Jay Grill.
Of course. And, the Rays, I'll tell you, that's always a team that, what a department for development. What they do there is phenomenal. They're always in the mix and give teams
no budget.
With no budget.
It's amazing. And then the Blue Jays, I think they're better than 13 and 15. And the fact that they signed Vlad to the long-term deal, I think that they're going to build around him.
Yeah, obviously Guerrero staying there is awesome. That would relax me some. I think the key hitters, that's always been something that I'm a Blue Jay fan, so I watched a couple of disappointing playoff runs. The hitting just didn't step up when it needed to. The pitching was carrying it, the team for quite a while. And it's always hard when you can't give up a run or you're not pitching with the lead. It's much harder because it's a lot of pressure and stress on a pitching staff. And I say that not as a pitcher to just bag on the hitters. Hitting's hard, but when it all coincides with each other, man, it's always fun. And it's a matter of just catching fire, and the team will catch fire at the same time. So they're hovering just below 500, but I think that they're going to catch on fire. And when Vladimir Guerrero and Bichette and those guys can start getting hot, man, they're exciting to watch too.
They really are. And the Orioles being 11 and 17, like you said, they're a better team than that. They got some of the best young talent in the game, and it's just a matter of them putting the pieces together and being healthy.
Yep. I always say it takes about 45 games to really see what kind of team you have. I always say the first 2 months, spring training's over, and they're playing in some of the cold weather and some of the travel, getting really into a big league rhythm and season. You kind of know what team you have after about 45 to 60 games, and it's true. And not that things can't change, because there's more than 62 games, 60 games, there's 162 games. But that's kind of where I always felt like, do we have a good team? Do we need to add a piece? Are we going to be all right here? And playing on some good teams, bad teams, that was kind of my analytics from the foxhole.
When we jump over to the American League Central, no surprise the Tigers are 18-11, best record in the American League right now, and they might have the best pitching staff in all of baseball. They definitely have, if not the best starting pitcher, definitely the best lefty pitcher in the big leagues.
Yeah, 100%, man. He obviously is a tough competitor. Love seeing him out there. One of those freaky, awkward lefties, but dominant with upper 90s stuff. Their rotation's dominating, and seems like their team chemistry. I was rooting for them at the wild card just because they were an exciting team to watch, and nobody expected them to be there. And so they were doing some damage. But I'd say right behind them is the Guardians, and again, another team that Moneyball type of team. And they're always in the fight, man. They're staying competitive, and they have a strong bullpen, which is huge, especially down the stretch. You got to have a good, strong bullpen. So watch out. That division, other than the White Sox, I would say they're not so hot, and not to worry. But again, those are the teams that if you're not going to compete, you make sure you got at least take the series from them on time you play them.
Yeah, and the Kansas City Royals with Bobby Witt Jr. in the starting rotation that they have as well, they're going to be in the hunt.
Yeah, I just think Bobby Witt Jr., obviously the big name player on that squad. I think that just team needs maybe a little bit more consistency. They too, like I said, they've got some run, and I know Bobby Witt Jr., exciting player, and you could just see. I remember seeing his face, the disappointment. When you lose last year, that sticks in your mind. The pain of losing, the blunders, the things that hurt you deep are the losing ones, or the times you get embarrassed. So I know Bobby Witt Jr. was up top, stepping that dugout, watching everybody else celebrate, and I know that he's going to try to turn that around there. But I think that team needs a little bit more consistency.
We jump over to the West, and surprisingly, every team except for the Angels has a winning record, with the Mariners out in front in 16-12.
Yeah, again, Mariners surprising many, but maybe some of their offense is pretty strong right now. But again, you catch fire, and it's no telling what that heartbeat does when you walk around with confidence and you're having fun and you're playing well. It's hard to beat when you're going who's hot. But it's very early. The Astros, boasting the best pitching in the division, but I think their offense needs to catch up a little bit. The A's, I think, they're hovering around the 500 spot with some good offense, but, a little shaky pitching there,
Playing in a minor league park this year, it's a different atmosphere. It doesn't feel like a big league game.
No. Well, I feel for that organization, like I said, especially those fans. We know they're moving to Vegas. There's a stigma there around that, but it's the big leagues nonetheless. So you got to step it up. I'd rather be there playing in the big leagues than actually in AAA, which I don't know where their minor league park is, but AAA park is. I think it's in Reno, maybe.
That's just a tough situation. So we jump into the National League, and the Mets in the East at 20-9, really playing good baseball. And It doesn't have a lot to do with Soto so far because he's been just okay. There's other guys that are carrying that club early.
Yeah, the first team to win 20. Nemo's 9 RBI, showing that they have some offense built around Soto. And I think, let's not underestimate him. I mean, the guy just got paid almost $1 billion. I think he's going to step it up once he gets into the groove, and maybe just needs some warmer weather. Some of those Dominicans, they don't like playing in the cold. So watch it when it gets hot, because I don't like pitching in the heat. I'm the opposite.
Well, being from Syracuse, man, there was some spring games that you had some long underwear on. But hey, I played in cold weather too, and I'll tell you, it's the best place to be is on the mound when you're playing a baseball.
100%. And pitch it inside. You say, go ahead.
You want to hit that?
Use it to your advantage. But yeah, Phillies are always going to be there. They always hold steady. Their run differentials. I mean, they're always a balanced team. Tough, scary team when they get hot. The Braves, I think they're on the 8-2 run in their last 10.
And they were terrible to start out. And so it's been important for them to have a hot streak. And they were better than 13 and 15. They will be there in the end.
Yeah. Have you ever been there to Truist Park?
Yeah.
And all the outside, what do they call it? The battery outside the park. That's like going to Disneyland for baseball. If fans have never been there, that place is unreal. It's unreal.
It's amazing what they've done with the new parks and how they've made it a real fan experience.
Yeah, well, you look at the states that the Braves fans cover, from Tennessee and the Carolinas, Georgia, of course, down into Florida, over into Alabama, Mississippi. The marketing they do for that team and the fan base that supports that team, which has been obviously like TBS, right? You can turn on a Braves game. It's hard not to root for the Braves if that's the only channel you got. But yeah, the Nationals, Marlins, they're kind of pulling up the back end in that division right now. But again, I think just more consistency from the bottom. So you give those teams a hard time. It's another top 3 there are always usually in the mix.
Let's jump over to the Central. We'll just run through this. The Cubs are 17-12 and 6-4 in their last 10. And look at the Reds, 7-3 in their last 10 and at 16-13 with one of the most exciting players in the game. Their shortstop is unbelievable. The Brewers, I think when they lost Adames, they're not going to be nearly as good this year.
Yeah.
The Cardinals are a disappointment, have been for the last few years. And, you're not far from the Pirates and you get to go to those games.
Yeah.
They got great young pitching, but man, they got to support that pitching staff with some runs.
That's economics. I think that's a MLB problem, not just a Pittsburgh Pirate problem. All these low budget teams, I think they got to do a better job. The commissioner has to come up with something that held these owners accountable for spending the luxury tax money on the team to keep it together, keep improving on it, keep players here. It's not a 4A club. The Pirates shouldn't be considered a 4A club to just develop players. It's like everybody's like, oh, the talk is, yeah, we got Paul Skeens, but for how long? The pitching staff is built to do that. But again, it'd be exciting to win that division, which hasn't been done in quite some time. But yeah, the Reds, my favorite player to watch when I do. He's electric. Number 44, God bless. He's unbelievable. Good for the game, man. I'm collecting some of his cards. I'm chasing my child with my kids collecting cards, and I'm trying to get him. That's a good one to have.
And hey, in the National League West, let's face it, right now the best division in baseball, because you got the Dodgers 19-10 and the Giants 19-10. Padres been playing unreal at 17-11, and even the D-backs are 15-13. So every team's a winning team except for our poor Rockies, who you played 4-24, looking not good.
Yeah, it's not a fun division to be a doormat in. Look at that with the Dodgers, Giants, and Padres. Our guy Clint Hurdle there, I know he took over as hitting coach, and hopefully he can turn around with his positive energy. But yeah, it's going to be tough to beat those contenders with the big money at the top and the players that they've got on that team. It's an all-star team to contend with every night in that division. But it'll be fun down the stretch to see what happens there, right? Who's the division leader and who's a wild card? And then, if the wild card takes out the division leader, pretty awesome stuff, man.
He's Jason Grilli. He's been on 10 of these 30 teams that we just talked about. He's got a whole slew of uniforms behind him there in his closet. Jay Grill, it's always a pleasure to have you as a guest on the Sandlot.
Hey, appreciate it, man. Yeah, if you need to borrow a jersey, I got them all.
Well, at some point, we got to get one from my little collection, and because I'm going to have a little display when I get a better studio and stuff.
Need some wall space.
Thanks to the Grilled Cheese, Jason Grilli, for talking who's hot and who's not in MLB. We're going to go to a break. Don't go away. When we return, we have a former major leaguer, Mr. Jeff Frye, right here on the Sandlot. We're on KAVL, Fox Sports Radio, 610 AM and 106.7 FM. We are Fox Sports, The Sandlot. It's where everybody plays. I'm your host, Tad Powers. The Sandlot is presented by the Sandlot Radio Network.
National League All-Star Justin Upton.
Hi, this is Shane Victorino.
Hi, this is Albert Pujols.
Hi, this is David Wright.
Derek Jeter, New York Yankees, and you're listening to The Sandlot.
The heat was unbearable. My AC was striking out and my house felt like a summer game with no shade. Then I called EconoAir. What a game changer. They knocked the heat out of the park and now I'm comfortable year-round. Give EconoAir a call today at 714-333-0130. That's 714-333-0130. Sandlot listeners, mention the show for an exclusive discount on maintenance or repair with EconoAir.
With so many banking options out there, why choose South Bay Credit Union? As a nonprofit credit union, they're here to serve you, not shareholders. That means they're able to provide better rates, fewer fees, and more valuable benefits to empower their members to live better and do better. You want to master your money? South Bay Credit Union puts you in control of your money with everyday banking solutions. From checking accounts to home mortgages, credit cards to auto loans, their members have access to the tools they need to achieve their financial goals now and in the future.
Hi, everybody. This is Rick Mundy, former Major League player, former All-Star, and now broadcaster with the Los Angeles Dodgers. You're tuned in exactly where you need to be. It's Sandlot, and it's baseball.
Talking baseball, the man and Bobby fella, the Scooter, the Barber, and the Duke. They knew them all from Boston to Dubuque, especially Willie, Mickey, and the Duke.
Welcome back to the Sandlot. It's where everybody plays. We're on Fox Sports 610 AM and 106.7 FM. Thanks again to former Major League pitcher Jason Grilli for being a special guest host in our Who's Hot, Who's Not segment of the Sandlot. Right now we have a man who played every position on the field in the major leagues except for pitcher and catcher. He's Jeff Frye. Thanks so much for being a guest on the Sandlot.
Thanks for having me, buddy. I appreciate it.
Northern California, you grew up in a period of time like me where Sandlot was real. Like we might just find a spot in the neighborhood that we could play this game. And that's another spot in the neighborhood where you had to modify the game, different equipment, different rules. And somehow as kids, we figured it out. Tell me about your Sandlot days in Northern Cal.
Most of the time, we played in the street. And we played a lot of wiffle ball and used to tennis ball. Sometimes we could hit a tennis ball too hard and it would rattle off our neighbor's glass screen door. So we had to be careful. But it was a lot of times the field was determined by where the cars were parked out in the road. And we would was at my grandmother's house most of the time in Hayward, California. And we had, the fence in the backyard. And we actually had a little pipe sticking out of the ground about a foot with a little nozzle on it. And it was about 2 inches around. And you had to hit that to get a strike with a wiffle ball, from 30 or 40 feet. But we would imitate all the current players on our favorite teams. And I was a Giants and my cousin was always a Dodger. So if I was Bill North or Terry Whitfield, I had to hit left-handed. And then I was Willie McCovey left-handed and Jack Clark right-handed. And he would do the same with the Dodgers. I think that really helped us develop our hand-eye coordination and we couldn't wait to do it all day, every day until it got dark.
And we were allowed to do that back in the day. We could just pretty much had to. It's like get out of the house, be back for dinner. And so you got to figure out how to occupy your time in a creative way. I think some of the creativity that we were able to come up with as kids has gone away because now if you're on a travel ball team, everything is dictated. And if you're playing Little League, it's just kind of fun.
Yeah, it's all structured now where, the kids have to play on their select teams and have practices and go to their gurus hitting or pitching and, get their lessons. And I mentioned to you before we got on here that I've never had a lesson in my life hitting, pitching or anything. And because we just learned through trial and error and practice. If you didn't want to lose all the time, you had to get better. So you better work at it. And we just loved it. I still love the game to this day. I think because of, as a kid, I was never forced to do it. I played because I wanted to.
And it was so much fun. I spent so many hours in my summers playing different types of games that were going to develop skills for me as a baseball player later on. Didn't know it at the time. I was just having fun. But every one of those games did develop a very important skill. And when I became a scout, I figured that out.
Oh, absolutely. I was the only child. And so a lot of times my cousin wasn't there to play with me. So I would try and think of something. I played a lot of wall ball. At my grandmother's house, I didn't have a very good radio, so I had to go the extension cord through the kitchen window out there to right by where I was throwing the ball against the wall, and I would play the Giants game because that was my team, and I would emulate everything. Oh, Vida Blue with the pitch, and there's a ground ball, and I would throw it, and I'd have to throw it in the square to get it, to make sure it was an out. And I would do that all day, every day. Or I'd go out in the street with a tennis racket and just hit a ball as high as I could and try and catch it with my glove. Just little stuff like that. And I know it helped develop my skills that I had later, because there was always something different that we were doing, trying to get better.
And also the passion. It developed the passion, because when you're out there all day long, every day as a kid, it becomes part of your life, ingrained into you. You mentioned one guy, Willie McCovey, that had one of the most unique setups ever, with the pump in the front and the pump in the back and forward and then backward and forward. I used to imitate him, and I didn't get to see him as much as you, but being a Cub fan and WGN covered everything. So I got to either watch or listen every day, develop some of my passion for delivery of the radio as well through Jack Brickhouse, Lou Boudreaux, and guys like Harry Carey. So listening to the radio also helped us develop those passions, and also helped us develop a personal relationship with the players.
Oh, no question. I remember the Giants with that. Lon Simmons was one of the guys that I listened to. And I still remember to this day, Mike Ivey's hitting and he crushes one. And then Lon Simmons was go, "It's way back. It's way back. You can tell it goodbye." And I remember listening to Bill King with the Oakland A's, and you felt like you were in the ballpark. You could identify with these players. And then when you are playing a game with your buddies or your cousin, whatever, and you're actually, now I'm Joe Morgan. I'm going to be the big red machine today. And when Joe Morgan's up, I got to flap my back elbow when I'm hitting, and I'm George Foster. I got to have the little lean forward, or Johnny Bench, and all, we could imitate all those guys' stances. And even when I got into pro ball at the minor leagues, when we were sitting around before stretch, I would imitate all the players that I used to imitate when I was a kid. My teammates just loved it.
And, figuring out those different muscle movements that you watched your favorite players do was also helping us develop that hand and eye and the connection process when you hit that allowed you to be a pretty good hitter later on.
Absolutely. The hitting left-handed when it was a lefty up or a righty, that helps us huge, especially when you're hitting a wiffle ball, which moves an incredible amount with a little tiny yellow wiffle ball bat. There's just not much surface area to make contact, and we're squaring up curveballs that are breaking 4 feet like we knew they were coming. I know that helped my hand-eye coordination and bat-to-ball skills tremendously.
Being a Northern California kid, your junior year, you moved to Oklahoma. Not only is that a bit of a culture shock, but you're also leaving a part of the country where baseball is huge. Oklahoma is known for football, but they also play some darn good baseball. That transition as a kid, and at that point, you should be starting to think, man, I can play this game. And were you thinking that I got a chance in this game?
No, not even close, man. I moved to a small town in eastern Oklahoma, Panama, Oklahoma, with my aunt and uncle, their 4 daughters, and my grandparents. And it was the reason I moved because I was living with my grandparents because my stepdad was a bad guy, and I didn't want to be around him. So my uncle retired from the city of Hayward. Think about this guy, what a guy this was, right? He retires because he's got a bad back, and he decides he's going to move to the town he's from in Oklahoma. And not only is he bringing his family, he's going to bring his mother-in-law, his father-in-law, who's in a hospital bed, and his nephew. And we're going to drive 1,800 miles in a U-Haul and a Ford pickup. And then we're all going to live in a 3-bedroom house, 9 of us, with 1 bathroom. And that's what my uncle did.
That is a hero in every sense of the word.
Yeah, no doubt.
You make an adjustment with baseball, too, because you would have been in a pretty good program there in Northern California.
Yeah, I played at Hayward High, and I played Babe Ruth for the retail clerk, and then started playing in another group called Mitchell's, which I think is like another kind of a higher level that a lot of his better players from Babe Ruth went on to play. And then I up and left and go to a town of 2,000 people. It was definitely culture shock. But it really, I was kind of a shy kid in California. You know, when you live with your grandparents and you don't own a car and you're kind of embarrassed to bring anybody over the house because your grandfather might say some inappropriate stuff because he's an angry man. I didn't have a lot of social life. So going to Oklahoma really helped me kind of break out of my shell. And I started playing 3 sports and did really well. And that, I think it was probably the best thing that could have ever happened to me.
That's a great story. And you end up having an opportunity to play college baseball in a program that probably helped you develop it. And I'm thinking you had a pretty high ceiling at that point.
Man, I don't know. When I graduated from high school, I was 5'5", 135 pounds. And I was actually going to junior college to play basketball. I was going to Eastern Oklahoma to play basketball, walk on baseball. And the local college coach from Carl Albert, Mark Pollard, came out to see our American Legion game. He asked a couple of my teammates who were already going to Carl Albert about me. He had refereed basketball games when I was in high school and saw me as this little cocky kid from California with his boxer shorts hanging out, short basketball shorts. And I was cocky and I was talking smack, but I was pretty good. I averaged 23 points a game. And so he said, is this kid better than this other kid we have coming over here? And they said, oh, he's way better. And I just so happened to have gotten 15 hits in a row over a 2-day period. So he asked me to come to Carl Albert instead. So I went to Carl Albert, started playing basketball, saw that wasn't going to work out, and ended up doing really well in baseball. Just actually, this past year, they inducted me and Coach Pollard, who passed away about 6 months ago. They inducted us in the inaugural class of the Carl Albert Junior College Hall of Fame together. So that was really a great honor.
And from Carl Albert, you go on to Southeastern Oklahoma State University because JUCO to the D.
Yeah, I just hit 430 in JUCO and no D1s recruited me. And I was disappointed because our junior college coach said they were all calling. And I went to the JUCO tournament, went 7 for 11 in 3 games, and nobody called because they said I was too slow, knock-kneed, and duck-footed. And so with my tail tucked between my legs, I went to Southeastern Oklahoma, NAIA school, and I was pouting. And after 1 week, Coach Matheny called me in his office and said, Frye, I know you don't want to be here, but quit pouting and get after it. And so I said, okay, Coach. And that my junior year, I hit 388, I believe. And my senior year, I hit 455, which broke the school record and is still the record today.
455 at any level is a hard thing to do. And in the NAIA, back then, NAIA baseball was really good. A lot of people don't understand. If you're playing baseball and you're getting at bats, you're going to get better. And for Jeff Frye, that's exactly what you needed to do because you had a chance to go on and play professional baseball after this. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk more about that journey from the minors to the big leagues with Jeff Frye on the Sandlot. Don't go away. When we return, we have more from Jeff Frye. You're listening to The Sandlot right here on Fox Sports 610 AM and 106.7 FM. I'm your host, Tad Powers. The Sandlot, it's where everybody plays.
Hey, this is Hall of Famer Rich Goose Gossage, and you're listening to The Sandlot.
Hi, this is Jason Giambi of the Colorado Rockies, and you're listening now to The Sandlot.
This is David Eckstein from the San Diego Padres, and you're listening to The Sandlot.
This is Ferguson Jenkins, Hall of Famer, and you're listening to The Sandlot.
Step up to the plate with Econoware's Solar Services. Their solar solutions deliver unbeatable energy savings, keeping your power bills low all season long. Be a game changer. Switch to clean energy today. Sandlot listeners mention the show for an exclusive discount on maintenance or repair. Call Econoware at 714-333-0130 and hit your energy savings out of the park.
South Bay Credit Union features 3 centrally located branches in the South Bay, 24/7 time-saving digital banking tools, over 30,000 free ATMs nationwide, and a 100% commitment to the South Bay. South Bay Credit Union cares about their community. They've contributed over 3,600 employee volunteer hours. Over 20 local organizations have received donations or sponsorships, and they have raised over $150,000 for the Children's Miracle Network. South Bay Credit Union. Live better, do better, bank better.
Looking for printed apparel for your school, business, sports team, or company event? Max Graphics LA is your solution. Go to maxgraphicsla.com today and check out our options. We offer screen printing, embroidery, and more on clothes from major suppliers. Our graphic designers can help you with your logo or design. We also offer custom online retail shops where we take care of all orders and fulfillment. Visit our website at maxgraphicsla.com or call 310-595-1195 today to get started.
Hey, folks, this is Andy Van Slyke. If you really want the inside information, the inside secrets, what it means to be a big league player, listen to the Sandlot. You're going to get a perspective about relationships with husbands and wives at the big league level, about sons and fathers at the big league level, and why these guys who got to the big leagues, why they have so much passion. It's because they all started on the Sandlot. So if you want to be educated about baseball, listen to the Sandlot. This is Andy Van Slyke.
I guess destiny ain't always meant to be, kind of like you and me that day. We got close, but close doesn't cut it. Had a good run, end up with nothing but a 3x5 as you hide in a drawer. We swung for the fences and came up short. Yeah, you win some, you lose some. It ain't always home runs, and that's just the way life plays. If we were a team.
Welcome back to The Sandlot. It's where everybody plays. The Sandlot is presented by the Sandlot Radio Network. We're right here on Fox Sports 610 AM and 106.7 FM. Now we have more from former MLB veteran Jeff Frye. Thanks so much for sticking around as a guest on The Sandlot.
Yeah, no problem, buddy.
So we talked about before the break that you had done really good in JUCO, done really good when you went on to an NAIA. The Texas Rangers decide, okay, we're going to take this guy in the 30th round. We don't even have 30 rounds in the draft anymore. So as an underdog, you're getting a chance to go out and play. When you're a guy that goes that late, they don't have a lot of high expectations for you.
No expectations. And the funny part is after my senior year at Southeastern, I pretty much figured I was done. No scouts were talking to me. And my teammate, Benny Culver, was a stud, 2-time All-American, pretty much knew he was getting drafted by Cincinnati. He got invited to the Rangers tryout camp and he didn't want to go. And I said, well, let me have your invitation. And I went in his place.
No.
And I had the day of my life. Yep. I faced a guy first round that I faced in JUCO that I didn't like him because I always felt like he wore a medium jersey. It was too tight and he thought he was Jack. So I wanted to hit off him and I raked him, hit a homer off him. They bring in another guy. They give me a wood bat. They're changing my stance and where I'm holding my hands. First swing, homer. Then they bring in another guy who got released by the Reds, 6'10". They said, when this guy gets in there, you get in there, homer. And I'm like, holy crap, what's going on? And so they invited me to another tryout camp and I'd hurt my hand water skiing right before the camp. I couldn't play. They told me to go home, get my hand ready. We're going to draft you. They drafted me in the 30th round. I signed my contract and they said, they tell you about your signing bonus? And I said, no. He goes, well, you get $2,000. I was like, sweet. $2,000. I was just ready. I was ready to go, man. So, that was the start of it. And there was really no expectations. I didn't even know there was a AA and AAA team in Oklahoma. And one was in Tulsa, 100 miles from Panama, and one was in Oklahoma City, 150 miles from Panama. And I didn't even know they were in the state. That's how much I knew about it.
I was the same. The first minor league game I ever saw, I was playing in it. The first involvement in spring training I ever had, I was a player in one of 180, looking, where do I go? What do I bring? What do I do? I was so clueless going into this thing. It's amazing how big of a ceiling you have when that's the case. And me and you sound like we're in that same boat.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And every spring training, I would drive with a buddy of mine that I met in Butte, Montana, Mike Hamilton. We played together, short season. And then him and I drove back to Texas or back to Oklahoma together. And we'd always drive all the way to spring training. So we have a car, And every spring training on the way down, I was like, you think I'm getting released this year? He goes, shut up. You're not getting released. I was like, every year I thought I was getting released. I felt like if I don't have a good spring training, I might be going home, and I wasn't ready to go home.
Your path is the one that you kind of wish everyone had. Nobody does rookie ball, low A, high A, double A, triple A, big leagues. I know guys that spend 2-3 years at different levels before they jump. And you did it exactly the way it's laid out, which is pretty crazy. And that means every year, some manager in spring training in those meetings was pulling for you. And whether they were saying, well, he's not a prospect or whatever, you had a manager pulling for you, and it was because you could hit. 290 lifetime in the big leagues. Today, that's about 55 points higher than the league average. So Jeff Frye could hit.
I wasn't a prospect ever. And the way I looked at it was I couldn't fail. I couldn't have a bad year. One bad year and I was going to the house. So I was pretty determined to not have a bad year. And, I think the one year, probably the worst year I ever had in the minor leagues was in the Florida State League. I think I hit like 272 or something. But the Florida State League back in those days, man, it was hard to hit it. It was a pitcher's league and the ballparks were big and the ball didn't go anywhere. And so I was like, I don't know if I'm going to get to go to Double-A. But sure enough, I went to Double-A and winter ball and all that paved the way for me to, I didn't spend a whole season in Triple-A, but I did spend a whole season at every other level, which is kind of unheard of in today's game.
Getting a chance to go and play in the Winter League in Venezuela from a development standpoint and also a mental toughness standpoint, because that's not the easiest place to go and play winter ball. And I've been there and it was scary.
Yeah, I loved it. I love Venezuela. And I was, I had a wife and a daughter after the season in Double-A. I was making, I think, $1,450 a month before taxes. And I was broke. And it was an opportunity to advance my career, hopefully, and make some money. I was begging the organization to find me a place to go play winter ball. And I let them know that. And I got a call from a guy who goes, "Hey, do you want to come to Venezuela?" I said, "Yep. When do you want me?" 3 days later, I was in Venezuela, and it was different. But I think probably because of the things I experienced growing up, I felt like I could pretty much deal with anything. I really enjoyed my teammates and really bonded with a lot of the Latin guys and stuff and loved. Here I am in Puerto La Cruz, Venezuela, in a high-rise hotel overlooking the ocean and the beach and the pool down below, and I get to hang out all day, eat some great food in the warm sunshine, and then go play baseball. To me, that was like, that's a pretty good deal. So, I played there 3 winters because I loved it so much, and I just wanted to get better.
And it really did help getting you better, didn't it?
Oh, 100%.
By the time you get to AAA, for the first time, you're thinking, maybe I got a chance.
Yeah, I went to spring training, big league camp after Double-A and after winter ball. They put me on the roster, and man, I had a great spring training. I probably deserved to make the team, honestly, but because I'd only played in Double-A, they probably felt I needed a little more time in AAA, and they had some veteran guys. They had Julio Franco, and they had veteran utility guy and Al Newman. So they sent me to AAA for 89 games. I know it was 89 games because I played every single inning of every single game. I didn't get a day off, and I had to sit on the middle seat on every flight. And I was so tired. I was like, man, this is a bunch of crap. You got pitchers who haven't pitched in 2 months, and they got an aisle. They're sleeping on the plane, and I'm like over here cramped in the middle. I've played every inning of every game, but it was, I had to pay my dues. They were teaching me how the younger guys have to learn and pay their dues and learn to appreciate and respect. That way we can pass it down to the young guys who are coming up. So, 89 games in AAA and finally got the call.
When you think about the different levels to, rookie ball, low A, high A, Double-A, and AAA, you're going to some very obscure parts of the country and seeing some things that you probably wouldn't have got a chance to see if you weren't a minor league player.
Oh, no doubt. Played in Medicine Hat, Canada. And most of minor league parks weren't like they are today. No. Man, they were some dumb. And Gastonia, our home field was Sims Legion Park. And it was terrible. I'll never forget, we went to Asheville, and as we're driving into the stadium, there's this old man about 80, and he's standing there with I'm assuming his grandson, who's about 10, and they're both flipping us off as we drive. It's like, where are we? It's like, what's going on? And with the accommodations were bad. Some, in winter ball, man, half the places had cold showers after the games. And you're eating at a roadside truck stop with flies on the chicken and stuff. And we had to be able to deal with some stuff, that was different than the United States.
Yeah, I remember in the Penn League, I mentioned Geneva, New York. We show up to play the Geneva Cubs, and our clubhouse is flooded. And they're like, just stand on the bench to change. So you tiptoed in, you got wet, and then you had to stand on the bench to change your clothes. And it was, as showering after the game, you just waded through, it was like ankle deep. And then you took a shower and then waded back and tried to somehow dry off on the bench, standing up.
No way they would play a game under those conditions today. There's no way they would do that, make players do that today.
Well, even like spring training facilities, my first spring training with the Orioles, we're at Opelika, Florida at St. Thomas University, sharing the Miami Dolphins facility. And I'm like, how is the Orioles and the Dolphins sharing this piece of crap facility where the whole outfield grass has got sand in it? 92% of the players in camp had shin splints because we were running on this uneven grass. And nowadays, these spring training complexes are unbelievable, even for the minor leaguers.
Oh yeah, it's a different world. I mean, ours was in Port Charlotte for many years with the Rangers, and it was pretty nice. I mean, but it wasn't anything like Salt River, Colorado Rockies, where they've got 500 seat theaters and they've got incredible facilities everywhere. These kids, man, they have it pretty good right now.
Yeah, I remember the Opalaka thing was Steve Finley was in my locker room, and a couple guys were sharing lockers. And he was really disturbed by that. And it was like your high school locker. It was one of those types of lockers. Today, those minor leaguers show up and they got a nice padded chair and they can have 18 uniforms in their locker. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, they have hookups for their iPads and their phones and their headphones, and probably play video games and stuff. And we were playing cards on a styrofoam ice chest.
And reading Baseball America because there was no internet, there was no phones. And that 12-hour bus ride with no phone, I read a lot of different things and tried to continue to educate myself.
I had the Sony Walkman working. I used to listen to some tunes. And if we weren't playing cards, which we always tried to play cards on the bus, it was to throw on the headphones and try to get some sleep.
Yeah, and it wasn't very comfortable to get some sleep.
No, actually, when I was in Butte, Montana, we had some long bus rides, man. So we had like a charter bus. And so remember those buses? The buses have that little shelf above the seats, right? I was the right size, man. I could get up there, and it's kind of scary sometimes going down around those mountains in Montana and Wyoming and Idaho. That bus felt like it was going on two wheels. And I was like, just turn my music up and hope that we made it to our destination.
I don't remember any bus having seatbelts ever either. So,
no chance. We wouldn't have worn them anyway.
Yeah. Imagine if there was ever a crash. I mean, the carnage would be unbelievable.
Yeah, it would have been bad.
We're going to go to a break. We'll be right back with more from Jeff Frye when we return right here on Fox Sports 610 AM and 106.7 FM. The Sandlot. It's where everybody plays. I'm your host, Tad Powers. The Sandlot is presented by the Sandlot Radio Network.
Hey, it's former Major League Baseball player Matt Holliday, and I'm actually known as Jackson Holliday's dad these days. My son was the number 1 overall pick, and I got another one on the way. And we still listen to Sandlot Radio. Proud to be part of the Sandlot Radio family.
Wrecking Yard Baseball and Softball is the premier training facility in all of Greater Los Angeles. The Wrecking Yard features state-of-the-art equipment and is staffed by professional-level coaches. All Wrecking Yard coaches have played or coached at the college level or higher. Looking for a travel team this summer? We have teams ranging from 8 to 18U. Wrecking Yard Baseball and Softball offers cage rentals, lessons, team instruction, camps, clinics, birthday parties, and more. Come on down to the Wrecking Yard. We'd love to have you.
It was pretty much decided for me to play baseball when I was born.
The Sandlot's where it all starts, doesn't it?
I wasn't big than everybody. I just threw harder.
It doesn't take any talent to hustle.
If you don't pull for the Dodgers, there's a good chance you may not get into heaven.
Something happened.
The heat was unbearable. My AC was striking out and my house felt like a summer game with no shade. Then I called Econowear. What a game changer. They knocked the heat out of the park and now I'm comfortable year-round. Give Econowear a call today at 714-333-0130. That's 714-333-0130. Sandlot listeners mention the show for an exclusive discount on maintenance or repair with Econowear.
Welcome back to the Sandlot. It's where everybody plays. We're right here on Fox Sports 610 AM and 106.7 FM. KAVL, the Antelope Valley Sports Talk Station. I'm your host, Tad Powers. Right now, we have more from a baseball lifer. And in this sport, a term of endearment is a baseball dirtbag. We have Jeff Frye, a .290 lifetime hitter in the major leagues. That's almost unheard of now. The big league, National League, and the American League, the top 10 will go down to .282. So you would have been in the top 10 in hitting back in the day, bud.
I don't know, man. All the gurus I mess with on social media said I wouldn't even get drafted. I couldn't even play an A-ball today. All these guys are so good, and I just laugh at them.
Underdogs, it's a beautiful story when somebody that, like you said, you weren't a big guy coming out of high school, especially. You battled your way through JUCO, and you went to an NAIA and got drafted in the 30th round, hit every level in the minor leagues, but nobody was stopping you, and you ended up getting all the way to the big leagues, not just for a minute, but for 8 years. I have made it. I was unexpected to get here. I didn't even know if I would, but here I am.
Yeah. And I was like, man, I hope they don't realize that they messed up. I'm not supposed to. I always felt like at first it's like, I just don't want to mess up. I don't want them to think they made a mistake by calling me up. I'm going to keep my mouth shut. I'm going to work my butt off and try not to fail. I think my first year, I was trying not to fail. And I think it probably limited what I could have done, my production, because it was almost like a surreal experience. It's like, am I really in the major leagues? This is my dream come true. And I'm not supposed to be here. And then I think once I started having some success in 94, I really started feeling some confidence. But 94, I hit 327. Man, I had to start the year in the minor leagues because I had a knee injury the year before. And I really my confidence started growing, and I really felt like I belonged. And I think that's when I started having some good years after that.
I got a question about the uncle that took you and your other 8 family members to Oklahoma, and what the feeling would have been like for him and everyone else when Jeff Frye got the call to the big leagues.
Oh, it was incredible. My uncle Chess Brown. Yeah, it was really cool, man. Him and my uncle Peter, who was really it was in California. He's the one who really taught me how to play sports. And he was a fanatical baseball guy. I loved Mickey Mantle. He was the athlete in the family. Those two, man, I was just so happy for them. And actually, my Uncle Chess, I wanted to thank him. So I bought him a brand new pickup truck, Dodge pickup, after a year or two in the big leagues, and had it delivered to him, to say thank you for everything that he did for me.
You get there with the Rangers, but you also played with the Red Sox and the Rockies and the Blue Jays. Let's talk about some of your teammates, because there's some superstars on those teams.
Oh man, when I got called up with the Rangers, my first game in the big leagues, I get to the field. They say, look at the lineup. I go over there. I'm leading off, playing second base, and number 34, Nolan Ryan, is pitching for us that night. Pudge Rodriguez is catching. Palmeiro's playing first. We got Ruben Sierra in right, Juan Gonzalez, I think, in center, Dean Palmer at third. I'm just like, oh my God, these guys are all way better than me, and I was just like, oh, this is incredible. That Julio Franco, I actually came up to take Julio Franco's spot. He won the batting title the year before. Man, these guys were monsters. These are guys that I used to emulate playing wiffle ball.
And you're in the big leagues with them. That's got to be a little overwhelming for a guy that was 5'5" out of high school.
It was. And, I think thankfully, playing in winter ball against a lot of big leaguers, very good players, great players, and then going to spring training, big league camp, and having success kind of made me somewhat believe that I belong there. Even though in the back of my mind, I was still thinking that, holy crap, what am I doing here?
And some of the names that you just mentioned, Hall of Fame guys. Wow, that's just amazing. Red Sox is another team that would have been loaded.
Yeah, get there. They got Roger Clemens, Mo Vaughn, Nomar Garcia Parra. I play with Canseco in Texas and Boston. Also, Mike Greenwell. They let Clemens leave in free agency, and they bring in Pedro Martinez, who's incredible. Standing at their second base, looking at Nomar over there, yawning at shortstop as Pedro. I'm like, dude, he's got 17 punch outs. Like, wow. It's like I'm sitting here watching one of the best seasons ever by a pitcher in Major League history at second base, watching, just in awe. This little frail-looking Dominican guy who's about 5'11", 170, soaking wet, just carving dudes up. And I was like, wow, this is incredible.
And challenging everybody and not backing down to anyone.
No, and he was fearless on the mound. And, we knew when Pedro got ticked off, we were like, oh no, somebody's going to get hit on our team. They're going to retaliate. But we knew, that he had our back. And if one of our guys got hit, that we knew that he would step up. And we had a lot of guys on our team that would do that, not just Pedro, but definitely Pedro was one of them.
That part of the game's gone away. And now we got bat flips and all this thing. Somebody gets a single and they're doing some dance at first. And back in the day, guys would have been getting hit for that. So the game has changed in so many ways. And I think about you being primarily a second baseman, but also played every other position on the field except for pitcher and catcher. Is that correct?
Yep. I actually one inning at first base, kind of a fluke deal. Mo Vaughn twisted his ankle and we didn't have a first baseman. Then Jimmy he called me Frito. He goes, Frito, can you play first base? And I was like, yeah, Jimmy. He goes, all right, you're in there. Mo hurt his ankle. I said, okay. And I turned around the dugout. I said, who's got a right-handed first baseman's glove? And Mo had a glove. And I went to first base and bases loaded, infield in. The dude hit me a line drive. I dove and caught it and got an unassisted double play by only inning I ever played first base. I was like, man, that's easy over there.
So the pitch and catch thing were the only two. That's pretty amazing at the major league level to have played at all the positions.
And I wanted to pitch, man. I begged Jimmy Williams to let me be an emergency pitcher, which was very rare when we played. But now it happens almost on a nightly basis where maybe two position players are coming in there and lobbing it in there 50 miles an hour and seeing how far guys can hit it. And I'm like, man, that home run counts on your baseball card. I just know if I would have got in there, I'd have been trying to throw a knuckleball, but I certainly wouldn't just been lobbing it in there and letting dudes hit homers off me. There's no way. I would have tried to get him out.
No doubt about it. Being a second baseman, nowadays, you can't hit him. You can't even come close to him. But back in the day, dude, you had to get rid of it. You better jump. You better clear. You better use that bag as protection because you're going to get drilled. And nowadays, it just doesn't happen.
No, and there was art to it. And it was kind of part of the job requirement. If you're going to be a second baseman, you have to be able to stay in there. And if you're not brave enough to stay in there and get hit, you're not going to be a second baseman in the big leagues. And that was just part of the deal. And I was taught the proper footwork by Perry Hill and a lot of the coaches in the Rangers minor leagues. And we had to get out of the way. And we had to know who was on first base. We had to know the situation. There were some very scary moments. You just take the hit and you don't even know. You can't even see where your throw went. A lot of times, you just hear the crowd. You don't know because you're laying on your back whether or not it was an accurate throw or if you got the double play, and you hear the crowd and you're like, all right. Then you get up and brush yourself off and go back to dugout.
One of the things about that play, to me, it was one of the most acrobatic and amazing plays that you would see in a baseball game. And now they took it away from us. I remember some of the times that, or even with the shortstop, because they got an easier way of jumping over the guy. It was like this majestic play that we'd see 2-3 times a game that we don't ever see anymore.
I know. I hate that because it was kind of a test of your mettle too, to see who was the gamers, who were the guys who were going to stay in there and take the hit for their team, and who also, as a base runner, my job was to knock that dude down. And I knew if I did, that everybody else on his team was going to try and retaliate and knock me down when they're on first base. And it was just part of the game, I think. And I hate that it's gone now. A lot of the rule changes they're trying to make the game easier. And I don't know why, if the players are supposedly better, stronger, and faster than we were, why are we making it easier for them?
You know what I look at it? These guys are now an asset that has to be protected. And because of it, they put in rules to protect the assets. You were an asset, but not at the financial level that it is today. I think that's the main reason they're trying to protect their biggest assets in the game. Because when Buster Posey got taken out, nobody was ever going to hit a catcher again.
I mean, I bet Buster Posey wishes that rule wasn't in place, knowing the kind of player Buster Posey was. And when Chase Utley took out the guy from the Mets at second base, the guy was in the wrong position. He deserved to get taken out that way. I mean, look at some of the videos we've seen in the past with Hal McRae or Will Clark or on first base, and they just barrel rolled dudes and took them out. Because the guys knew they were coming in hard, we had to find a way, if we wanted to stay on the field, to get out of the way. And if you didn't, you paid the price. And that was part of the deal, man. We accepted it.
He's one of the great baseball dirtbags of all time. And that is a term of endearment in this game because that meant you played hard. And we don't see it as much as we used to. Jeff Frye, I want to thank you for being a guest on the Sandlot. What a great set of stories that you have. And I just want to thank you so much for being here and telling your story.
Absolutely, buddy. I'm glad we hooked up, and I appreciate you having me on.
Thanks for listening to the third show of the 2025 Sandlot season. You can listen to the Sandlot every Saturday morning right here on Fox Sports 610 AM and 106.7 FM. Also streamed live on 610foxsports.com. You can catch replays of this year's and past season's episodes of the Sandlot Radio Show on the Sandlot Radio Show SoundCloud page. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at the Sandlot Radio Show for video content with the players. We also have links to our YouTube and Spotify. Please explore the SandlotRadioNetwork.com website to check out our reels and images from our long history of covering everything from the Sandlot to the big leagues. If you're interested in advertising your business on the Sandlot Radio Show, give us a call at 303-350-0655 or send us a message to the website, that's SandlotRadioNetwork.com. We want to thank all of our guests on today's show. We had former Major League pitcher Jason Grilli, our special guest during our Who's Hot, Who's Not opening segment. We also want to thank Major League grinder Jeff Frye. He hit .290 lifetime in the major leagues. Be sure to tune in next week as we'll have more great guests all season long. The Sandlot is presented by the Sandlot Radio Network and sponsored by Econo-Air, South Bay Credit Union, Wrecking Yard Baseball and Softball, and Max Graphics and Printing. The Sandlot, it's where everybody plays. It's a place of our own. It's our field. It's our neighborhood. It's our team. It's our home. I'm your host, Tad Powers.
Is this heaven?
It's Iowa. Is there a heaven?
Oh, yeah. It's the place dreams come true.
Hey, Dad? You want to have a catch?
I'd like that.
Step up to the plate with Econo-Air's Solar Services. Their solar solutions deliver unbeatable energy savings, keeping your power bills low all season long. Be a game changer. Switch to clean energy today. Sandlot listeners mention the show for an exclusive discount on maintenance or repair. Call Econo-Air at 714-333-0130 and hit your energy savings out of the park.
With so many banking options out there, why choose South Bay Credit Union? As a nonprofit credit union, they're here to serve you, not shareholders. That means they're able to provide better rates, fewer fees, and more valuable benefits to empower their members to live better and do better. You want to master your money? South Bay Credit Union puts you in control of your money with everyday banking solutions. From checking accounts to home mortgages, credit cards to auto loans, their members have access to the tools they need to achieve their financial goals now and in the future.
This is Aaron Cook.
This is Aaron Rowe.
This is Al Leiter.
This is Chase Headley.
This is Clint Hurdle of the Colorado Rockies, and I listen to the Sandlot.
Wrecking Yard Baseball and Softball is the premier training facility in all of Greater Los Angeles. The Wrecking Yard features state-of-the-art equipment and is staffed by professional-level coaches. All Wrecking Yard coaches have played or coached at the college level or higher. Looking for a travel team this summer? We have teams ranging from 8 to 18U. Wrecking Yard Baseball and Softball offers cage rentals, lessons, team instruction, camps, clinics, birthday parties, and more. Come on down to the Wrecking Yard. We'd love to have you.
Don't swing if it's not in the strike zone. Where's the strike zone? Right there.
Looking for printed apparel for your school, business, sports team, or company event? Max Graphics LA is your solution. Go to maxgraphicsla.com today and check out our options. We offer screen printing, embroidery, and more on clothes from major suppliers. Our graphic designers can help you with your logo or design. We also offer custom online retail shops where we take care of all orders and fulfillment. Visit our website at maxgraphicsla.com or call 310-595-1195 today to get started.
Hi, this is the manager of the Los Angeles Dodgers, Joe Torre, and you're listening to The Sandlot.
South Bay Credit Union features 3 centrally located branches in the South Bay, 24/7 time-saving digital banking tools, over 30,000 free ATMs nationwide, and a 100% commitment to the South Bay. South Bay Credit Union cares about their community. They've contributed over 3,600 employee volunteer hours. Over 20 local organizations have received donations or sponsorships, and they have raised over $150,000 for the Children's Miracle Network. South Bay Credit Union. Live better, do better, bank better.
Hi, this is Todd Helton, and I still listen to The Sandlot.
This is Ryan Braun from the Milwaukee Brewers, and you're listening to The Sandlot.
This is Nate McLeod, National League All-Star with the Pittsburgh Pirates, and you're listening to The Sandlot.
This is Mike Cameron from the Milwaukee Brewers, and I'm still listening to The Sandlot.
South Bay Credit Union features 3 centrally located branches in the South Bay, 24/7 time-saving digital banking tools, over 30,000 free ATMs nationwide, and a 100% commitment to the South Bay. South Bay Credit Union cares about their community. They've contributed over 3,600 employee volunteer hours. Over 20 local organizations have received donations or sponsorships, and they have raised over $150,000 for the Children's Miracle Network. South Bay Credit Union. Live better, do better, bank better.